All right, what's happening? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, coming to you on Wednesday, December 18th at about 6:18 p.m. Eastern. We've got some big news today impacting the Peach Bowl on December 28th, which is obviously LSU versus Oklahoma. Big news breaking today on both sides. Oklahoma has 3 players suspended. Now, the school has yet to announce it. It was Soonerscoop.com that initially reported it, and The Athletic confirmed it. And the 3 players are Ronnie Perkins, the best pass rusher on the team for the Sooners, who has 6 sacks and either 11.5 or 13.5 tackles for loss. I'm trying to look at it in the column here. Yeah, 13.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, best pass rusher, suspended reportedly for testing positive for weed. Also, Kennedy Brooks' backup, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. His last name is Stevenson. Ramondre. Actually, maybe I do. Ramondre. I think I nailed it. Stevenson. Okay, now why is that a big deal? Well, obviously, Trey Sermon's been out for the year for a while, and Kennedy Brooks had a concussion against Baylor. So, I mean, they've got other guys, but they're all very, very inexperienced. So the number was 13 this morning. It moved to 14. But now here in the last hour, we've got more news, this time out of Red Stick. Ross Dellinger of SI, Sports Illustrated, reporting that LSU star running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire injured his hamstring yesterday, and his status is in question. Now, Ed Orgeron is supposed to be facing the media. It'll be after, you'll be watching this because I've got to upload this, and Orgeron's supposed to be facing the media in the next 15 or 20 minutes to hopefully bring more clarity on that. Now, Edwards-Helaire rushed for 1,290 yards, also had 50 receptions, 16 rushing touchdowns, 1 touchdown catch, was dominant against Alabama at Bryant-Denny, and that's a big deal. Now, especially considering these Oklahoma suspensions, and Dellinger reported it's believed to be a hamstring. He was citing multiple sources. And by the way, Ross Dellinger is from that area, was an LSU beat writer for more than a decade before he joined SI, maybe even 2 decades. I think he's around my age. I've done interviews with him. I've talked to him on the phone before. But anyhow, now, will LSU beat Oklahoma with or without Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Yes. No doubt about it. And when's the championship game? January 8th or 9th? I think there is it's not 2 weeks, but it's more than a week. I think it's a good week and a half after the 28th, the semifinals. But do they need him against Clemson? And yeah, I said Clemson. Damn right I said Clemson, because they're going to put it on Ohio State. But yeah, is the answer to that. They'll be fine without him against, excuse me, I'm kind of, like I said, I don't have anywhere to put my legs when I'm on this side of the table. TMI. Yeah, so that's a big deal. It's not a big deal as if Joe Burrow was hurt, but it's a big deal. SEC's all-purpose yardage leader in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, status in question reportedly from a hamstring injury at practice yesterday. Okay, so the last video we talked a lot about, caution. A lot of these guys are going to skip the games. There'll be suspensions, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we talked about that. Okay, now we can get into specifics. Now we've got a lot of those people have 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 let it be known. All right, let's start with Alabama. Terrell Lewis and Trayvon Diggs will not play in the bowl game. Citrus Bowl against Michigan. Lewis 6 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss this year. Diggs 3 interceptions and 1 pick six. Both were all SEC second team selections. And like I said, I don't think Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, or Henry Ruggs are going to play either, but they haven't come out and said. Now, as for Georgia against Baylor, you know, we know Lawrence Cager and Dominic Blaylock, 2 of their 3 best wide receivers, along with Pickens. We know that they are out injured. Now we find out yesterday, All-American last year, first team All-SEC this year, offensive tackle Andrew Thomas, turning pro, skipping the bowl. Now, the other tackle for Georgia, Isaiah Wilson, also announced he's turning pro, but he wasn't real specific on his, whatever it was, Instagram, Twitter, social media post. He wasn't really clear on whether he was going to play in the bowl game or not. Now, I don't know if I said in the last video, but I didn't think DeAndre Swift was going to play in the bowl game. Seth Emerson of The Athletic, I think he's still with The Athletic. Used to be with AJC, but when he was reporting on Thomas and Wilson, he lumped Swift in because Swift is turning. Oh wait, no, maybe Swift hasn't even announced. That's right, that's what it was. Swift is going to turn pro, but he hasn't announced it yet. And he replied to whatever Emerson tweeted. You know, I'm doing that after the bowl game. And from what I read from Emerson today, it kind of implied that Swift is going to play in the bowl game, or at least that's what I was led to believe by what I wrote. But look, they're already down Blaylock, they're down Cager, and now they're down a first-team All-SEC offensive tackle, and they might be down their other starting offensive tackle and Swift, maybe, against Baylor. Look, I'm not saying I'm taking Baylor, but there's a lot of reasoning to stay the hell away from Georgia in that game. 7.5, 8 last time I looked in favor of UGA. Kentucky's the only underdog in the SEC of the 9 teams that are going bowling. All right, Cam Akers of FSU, turning pro, won't play in the bowl game. But that's kind of a wash because Arizona State, first team, all Pac-12 wide receiver, he's doing the same, and I'm trying to scroll down to find his name here. Brandon, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Ayuk. You give it a shot. Ike. I don't know. And I mean, look, Eno Benjamin, I want all these kids to get paid. I mean, I don't like them skipping bowl games, but man, when you're a running back and your shelf life is so small, so short, I mean, whatever. I don't. So we'll see on Eno Benjamin. But all right. So Miami's got 3 players, 2 defensive players, and Jeff Thomas that aren't going to play in the bowl game against La Tech. I talk location motivation a lot for bowl games. I doubt there's a player on the Miami roster that has ever been to Shreveport, Louisiana. Pretty confident there's not a player on the roster that ever wants to go to Shreveport, Louisiana. And sure as hell doesn't want to spend the holiday season in Shreveport, Louisiana. So I don't expect Miami to be very motivated for that game. La Tech's got Jamar Smith back, the quarterback who was suspended 2 games. They only lost 1 game all year with Jamar Smith at quarterback, and that was at Texas. So there's that. The Canes are 4-5 straight up, 3-6 against the spread when they're favored this year. Stanford offensive tackle Walker Little has decided to come back to school, but 12 others are in the transfer portal for Stanford. Minnesota linebacker Kamal Martin. He will not play in the Outback Bowl against Auburn. Auburn star defensive end Derek Brown will play. That a boy, Derek. Up your stock, too. That's what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did for the Gators when he played last year against Michigan. I think we already talked about C.J. Henderson not playing for the Gators. Jonathan Greenard is. Gators 5-0 against the spread as a double-digit favorite this year. 8-1 against the spread under Mullen since he arrived as a double-digit chalk. Jake Bentley is going to Utah. Give me two. Felipe Franks reportedly visited Kansas this past week. He was an LSU verbal commit when Les was still at LSU. McElwain flipped him, the swamp donk. Appreciate that, McElwain. Anyway, so Kansas is a school that Franks is considering. Tight end Lucas Kroll is grad transferring to Pitt. That's a Florida backup tight end. And Keelan Johnson, a backup linebacker for the Gators the last couple of years, looked at his stats the other day, had an outstanding season for the Panthers. So Kroll hopes he can duplicate the success, of Keelan Johnson. All right, other guys sitting out bowls. Justin Matabuike, Texas A&M D lineman. Brandon Winbush for UCF. Not that matters. He doesn't play. A.J. Dillon, BC. Oh, for Saturday, got a great stat for you, too, on Boise, Washington. Washington's Hunter Bryant and Trey Adams, first-team All-American a couple years ago before he had that bad back injury last year. They're skipping. They're not playing against Boise State at Sam Boyd Stadium in Vegas on Saturday. Boise, I don't know. They're just so rarely an underdog. I have no idea about this stat. And I don't want anybody writing in what they say on Twitter. Don't at me. Boise was a favorite in Stillwater last year. I know Oklahoma State had been favored most of that week, but that because Oklahoma State killed them 44-21. Boise closed as the favorite. So if you're thinking, no. Boise was favored in that game against Oklahoma State. So, Brian Harsin as an underdog at Boise State 7 times. 7-0 against the spread with 5 outright wins. Pretty impressive. I like Boise against Washington. Peterson's shocking resignation. They went 7-5. Where's the motivation? 2 best players not playing. And by the way, Hunter Bryant, 50 catches, 828 receiving yards, a team high. The guys from Miami that aren't playing are Jeff Thomas, wide receiver, defensive end Trayvon Hill, and defensive lineman Jonathan Garvin. Hubbard is going to play for the Pokies, a nation's leading rusher. A lot of question marks for Illinois. Brandon Peters, 17-7 TDI-INT ratio, questionable. Got that concussion, and it wasn't called targeting at Iowa. Still no clue how that happened. Butkus Award semifinalist linebacker Jake Hansen for Lovie Smith's team. He's questionable. They're 7-point dog to Cal. They've been great as a dog this year. And then Josh Imortabehe, he started his career in Florida. Had some big plays for me against Sparty in that plus 500 money line winner. What else? Alex Hornibrook is no longer with the Noles, will not be at the Sun Bowl against ASU, which matters very little. Oh, big score for today with Birch, the 5-star out of Columbia, Muschamp, and the Gamecocks. 2 5-stars in this class. Look at my boy. Boom! And then they got Luke Doty, who is going to push Helinski for that job. Doty's a 4-star, the nation's second best dual threat quarterback, number 2 prospect in the state of South Carolina. Look at Muschamp doing work. You dumb Gamecocks wanting to get rid of him. What else? What else? Zach Moss will play in the ball game for Utah. Give me 2. I like FIU plus 2.5 Saturday against Arkansas State. Under Blake Anderson, the Red Wolves are 1-4 both straight up and against the spread in 5 bowl games. First off, Butch Davis went 4-0 in bowl games at Miami, which is irrelevant. But they won their bowl game last year as a 7-point dog. And the year before, I had FIU at that game. I was at the local catch, Blue Mountain Beach, settling in, cold Budweiser, ready to watch some football. First drive, Alex Magoo, the quarterback before James Morgan got there, 3-year starter, tears his ACL in the first flipping possession. I knew I was done from them. So that's Butch Davis's only loss in a bowl. And FIU finished strong. They beat the Canes, which is saying something for FIU, Conference USA team. And they went up to Huntington, West Virginia, and they pushed Marshall to overtime, lost by 3, but covered as a 10-point dog. So, I like FIU, and I like Boise. Probably going to go over on that Charlotte-Buffalo game as well. All right, we'll see with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Feel like I had some other tidbits, but I think I'm shooting a blank. And for once, we can finish a video not going more than 20 minutes. Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com. Good luck with your bets. Check out my News, Notes, and Numbers Bowl edition on MajorWager.com. Over now.